Doing your job buys you the ticket to the game, but it does not promote you. When it comes to success, when it comes to competition, the biggest competition that you continue to have is yourself. Every single person here in the institution, they are looking out for themselves. It's them first, then everybody else. And we always say, but why can't God give us the wisdom of Solomon? But it's written there. Fear of the Lord.
It's the beginning of wisdom.
It is the beginning of wisdom. And my brother said, Tawombeng is looking for economists.
Interesting. All right. Elder Mosa Tshabalala, are you well, sir?
I'm good.
Good. So your career has been a mix of challenges and accomplishments. Right. So what's the one lesson that you've learned through the ups and downs of your career? How do you keep steady in your career?
How do I keep steady in my career? I think having to have defined what my purpose is in what I do. I think over the years, my view, or maybe let me say, I had the benefit of having self-mastery, and I remember from a young age, I discovered this idea that when it comes to success, when it comes to competition, the biggest competition that you continue to have is yourself. It's within yourself. So I've always aimed to better myself every single day. And I guess through the years that I've been working, and by the way, I've been in the world of banking for years now, 21 years.
Sure, it's a long time.
But where I started was actually in a motor car industry.
Sure.
And when I was there, I learned some critical things I've learned some critical things. Don't take what you have for granted, as far as the job is concerned. And then, of course, as I said, I started there, but I didn't stay for long. I stayed there for a year, and then went into banking.
Sure.
And in banking, one can struggle to figure out what the purpose was like.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, understanding banking and its role in society was the first thing. What do bankers do?
Sure.
And what role do we play?
Yeah.
And then it came to me that we are the oil.
The oil of the economy.
The oil of the economy. So we help facilitate flow of funds that continue to activate economic activity.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And in that, I then had to choose what is more meaningful for the continent, because I love the continent with all my heart. I tend to call myself a son of the soil when I meet my colleagues as I travel across the world. And what was key for me, I figured that trade finance as an area is quite crucial for the economy of Africa, right? Because what it does effectively is provide funding or liquidity to largely SMEs that are generally women-owned, also youth-led.
Okay.
So in me helping facilitate that through my daily activities, what it means is that the mother who's selling stuff by the corner is able to continue to have the supply of the goods that she's selling. And then eventually, someday she's able to then create a big business out of that, which then has a generational impact for her family, her community, and potentially her country as well.
Sure.
So every day when I wake up with that view in mind to say I am going to go and do what I love, which is helping the transformation of our beloved continent.
Interesting start to the conversation indeed. And maybe take us into the backstory of when did you realize that you want to get into this passion? Maybe you can talk about your upbringing, maybe in the humble beginnings of Hammanskraal. Talk to us about that. Maybe the viewers would like to know. And I'll ask you another question why I'm asking this. But Hammanskraal, how was it like? The parental guidance there, any influences from them?
Yes. Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm a son of a teacher who's my mom, and my father an entrepreneur. But he didn't start as an entrepreneur. He actually started as a it was called a Westage or Westech driver. So the guys that drive the dump trucks.
Oh, the dump trucks, yes.
Right. That's where he started, and then eventually ventured into the business of motor vehicles. So he created a panel beating business many years ago. So both of them very dedicated to their vocations.
Yes.
I mean, I used to see my mom waking up at 4, for a month and doing her studies because she just couldn't get time to do her studies during the day because during the day she's at work. And then obviously over the weekends there's stuff that needs to happen in and around their house. My dad, I've observed him without fail every single day waking up to go and ensure that the business continues. He supplies what he needs to supply as the owner to his staff. And the level of commitment was next to nothing. So for me, I think that was the early indications that nothing in life comes for free. Because I had to wake up as well when I was doing my studies at a young age, because of I'm observing my mom. As the saying goes, monkey see, monkey do. Right. So I would wake up at 4 as well, and also pull out my book and then sit next to her and study as well. Right. So that was the lessons that I picked up from my parents. But the other thing that I learned, which was actually very crucial, was, particularly from my dad, was what they do next door does not apply to us. Good, the Tshabalalas. So he would say, if the kids next door go home at 8 or 9 at night, in this house, the gates are closed at 6 o'clock. Perfect. Right. Yeah. So that discipline, and he was relentless. So he helped us and protected us a lot, because my peers who would sometimes stay out in the streets up to 11, 12. Some of them started now, venturing into smoking, some of them drinking, some of them getting into things that they weren't meant to get into. Their grades were not so great at school. Because of I was forced to be at home, and at 6 o'clock I had to study. I had to, be productive. So those I think were some of the lessons, and I've taken those lessons with me. I hear my kids now saying so and so, they're doing this and that at their house. I keep saying to them, not in this household. And our rules and what we stand for is very unique to us as a family. So and I see the older one now taking it now to heart too. He's beginning to understand that.
And happy Father's Day, by the way.
Oh, thanks. And a big shout out to all the fathers out there. It's a journey also that is not rewarded. And fathers do carry a lot. And the recognition often is not there. So if you're a father out there and you continue to do what is right, you continue to become, being a cool dad. Do that. You don't know how profound your presence and the impact of your words are to your kids. Again, maybe if I can relay a little story.
Sure.
So my dad once said to me when I transitioned from a government school to a private school. So when I got to the private school, my grades weren't so great. Coming from a government school, you are used to getting the number one spot in class, right? Top of class performance. Then you get to the private school, you are now number 11, 12. And my dad, one day, he could see that this young man is frustrated and is about to kind of sort of give up. And then he was a tall guy, he sort of knelt down, and then he came down to my face and he said to me, "You're my son, and my son always gets number one. Go get it." That
the hunter in you.
That I moved from number 12 in a space of 6 months to number 2 by the end of the year. The following year, I was back at number 1, just because of what he said to me. So the words that the guys are saying to their children are very, very important. Very, very important.
Beautiful, man. Because I think what you just explained now is basically that children learn by imitation.
Absolutely.
Right, and they learn from their fathers, not mostly by what they do.
Absolutely.
And
I think God has put something in fathers that quickly shapes and molds the future of a child. Through their words. I think there's a special gift there, and I think I would encourage fathers to exercise that. Right. To speak life into their kids' lives. So for me, I think that's something that we don't often talk about, but I have witnessed it from the example that I've just given you. Right. What he just said to me was just life-changing.
Beautiful. So now you move from home. You trying to come and start an independent life. So you're trying to dabble in varsity career choices. What career do I take? You end up doing your numbers. I believe you're a numbers guy because banking
and numbers.
So when you were going through that choice, what kind of was inspiring you at the time?
I would say that majority of people in my generation we kind of sort of fell into what we do by accident.
Okay.
Right? Why? Because most of us at the time, career guidance wasn't really out there, right? And at the time, I think also our country was also going through a period of transition because I matriculated in 1999.
Okay.
Right, just before 2000
Y2K.
Y2K, the dot-com era. And at the time, my brother was actually studying at the University of Pretoria. I so desperately wanted to go to two universities, University of Natal as well as Stellenbosch University. But my brother said to me, at the time, the president of the nation was Mr. Tabumbeki. And my brother said, Tabumbeki is looking for economists.
Interesting.
I guess because of, again, like I said, I think our country was going through the period of transition. And the likes of Tito Mboweni, I think there was still, I think was he a minister at the time? Yeah, but there were some up there, the Reserve Bank governance, etc. So that was the flavor of the time. And I said, okay, look, let me transition from what I wanted to study, which was metallurgical engineering.
Oh, interesting.
Right? To now study a BCom degree, which was very foreign to me at the time because I had not done accounting at high school.
Wow.
So I had to take up accounting for the first time. Economics. So transitioning from science, mathematics, biology, geography, to now doing economics, philosophy, investment banking.
Yes.
So it was quite an interesting transition. But look, nonetheless, I enjoyed it because it gave me a very different perspective from what I've always known, and how the world operated. So pretty much the reason why I became an economist is through my brother's advice. So I studied at the University of Pretoria. I did my undergrad there. And then, of course, immediately after that, fortunately, my dad gave me a small car post after graduating. And out of desperation to pay petrol, I had to go look for a job.
Hallelujah.
and my job was the one where I worked for a motor company in Silverton. It was with, I think they still call it Samka. At the paint shop. So there, I used to work shifts, and we were working at what we call the belt. So the cars would be coming through. You're applying sealer onto the car, and you're standing throughout. Right? And we used to work, I think, 8-hour shifts. Right? So that's when I really appreciated work. And people who truly work hard. Look, I understood, working hard from the context of school, but having to make a living physically was a transformative thing for me as well. Hence, I never took any opportunity that came to me after that for granted.
Sure. And do you believe that this thing of working physically as a young man kind of builds something in your character, the tenacity?
Absolutely. Because one of my greatest fears now is we're moving away from the concept of delayed gratification. right? So everything is just at the fingertips. It's quick, and we're not made for that. We are made to see the process through.
Yeah.
Right. So build something from scratch, see it through, see it grow, see it manifest. Is what we are built for.
Sure.
Now, we're becoming a microwave nation, which for me worries me, because for anyone to truly appreciate, even your studies, right? When you study, it requires you to concentrate for a period of time. But then now you are on TikTok, you are on Instagram, you are on Facebook. It's a quick, so you know, scroll, and you don't even finish some of the things now because of the dopamine effect. Right? You continue, and that is training your brain not to slow down, to take things in and then process things. So we're quick to respond. We get bored very quickly. We don't engage. We don't go deep.
And they don't watch the full podcast. Please subscribe and watch the full length of the podcast. Thank you very much.
Exactly. So that is the risk that we are faced with as a people, as a nation, as a world. Now that we are very quickly becoming microwave people.
Oh, worrisome indeed. But now you move from that environment. You are navigating your career.
Yes.
So these are the lessons you are given. Yes. So you move from that space, and then you probably now enter a different space where perhaps now the work you're doing is more mental.
Yes.
It involves a little bit more strategy, and you're dealing with the world of work. So now entering what we can define as the corporate South African space.
Yes.
As a young man, how are you feeling at this point in time? Also, you don't have to tell us where you started, because now I don't know.
No.
They must pay us.
No, look, I mean, the funny thing is this, and I'm going to share a rebel moment that I had.
Yes.
So I met Samka, the Ford Motor Company, in Silverton. Then what happens is that I go to HR. I said to the guys, look, I'm a graduate. I studied economics, and I'll be doing my postgrad. And I'm very strong when it comes to research. Is there anything that I could consider outside the paint shop job? And the HR manager looks at me, he says, you know how many people have come here and told me that they are graduates? And then I said, I don't know. You tell me. I said, many. And he says, okay, you know, what did you study? I said, I studied economics. He said, okay, you know what? People that studied economics and degrees like finance, they work in banks. Right? He tells me that. I said, oh, okay. So is that how you're going to receive me as I'm engaging? By the way, Chief, tomorrow I'm coming to resign. I don't have a job at the time. Right? Boom. That was a rebel moment. That's what I'm saying. I'm coming to resign tomorrow. And indeed, I went and resigned. And as it is, sometimes, you know, God continues to protect us in our foolishness.
Indeed.
So I, the same week, actually find an advert around Banksita. So Banksita they were taking students from, you know, our varsity that were looking for jobs, and I applied, and then I got accepted, and then I was placed at Standard Bank. Right. At the time, Standard Bank's head offices were in town, Siemens Street at the time. Then I joined a team there, which was called the Financial Asset Services. FAS. That was in global transactional banking business at the time. So what they do effectively is a middle office or back office that actually facilitates when various investors around the world, or require custody services from banks. So I went into the team again with my work ethic that I then learned from Sanka. I then applied that. So one of the managers there observed the behavior.
Yes.
And when Standard Bank started introducing graduate program for, at the time they used to do for investment banking and global markets.
Okay.
So then they introduced it for transactional banking. Then I was pulled into that cohort.
Sure.
And by them pulling me into the cohort, of course, I rotated within transactional banking, different divisions, and the different divisions where I was at, then, there was, custody business as well as there was a trade services business.
Yes.
Then I landed up in trade finance. But then there was a lady and actually two people that truly are all big moves that they made for me in my career. There's a gentleman called Christopher Van Staden. He's the one who saw me and he said, "This guy must join the great program."
Okay.
That's that guy. Then the second person who truly I owe my gratitude to as far as my career is concerned is there's a lady called Faith Kanile. She saw me and she saw the tenacity that was coming through.
Yeah.
Just before even the grad program was finished, she said, "Do you want to work for me?"
Yeah.
And then I said yes. She said, "Okay, I'm joining my team." So at the time she was heading up our structured trade and commodity finance team. So I became a junior manager looking after a sector for mining and metals. So at the time we were doing structured trade and commodity finance. So dealing with mines, dealing with commodity producers, learning how to finance trade transactions, working capital for them in various forms as they export commodities or import commodities in and out of the continent. So that was then where I started really getting into the banking world in South Africa. And I truly enjoyed it because of every single day you were solving a different problem, because the problems around trade finance are so unique to the business that you're dealing with. So you don't find a single structure that works for all the clients. So that was really where I was. Exciting days. And of course, at the time there were a few of us who were young, who just come in. There was a lady called Mosa Tshabalala, who's now, I think she's a lecturer now at UJ, doing accounting. There was a chap called Tabo Matsepe, who was also an accounting guy in our team. So we supported one another at the time. And we had a very strong team of senior leaders who also really looked after us. I can mention a few guys. Maya Beamans, who's now in the Netherlands. We're still in touch. There's guys like Moses Berry, Nyabonda, and Debbie Emmanuel. These are the guys that really have shaped my career in various forms. They supported me to the hill, and because they could see that this young man here is eager, he's thirsty to learn, And I would be staying in the office up until 9, 10 every single day. Sure. Because I needed to make sure that I deliver on my deliverables.
Yes. So you're basically talking to the idea of mentorship there at an early age, at an early phase of your career. You might not have realized that you were being mentored, but you were being mentored.
Absolutely.
And for somebody who's now a young bro in the space, they probably think, I know everything. They taught me everything in university. I can navigate the space all by myself.
No.
Maybe give them some tips on how to go about it. Yeah. Maybe the more the soft skills of navigating the space in the beginning there to get you to a position where you're mentored by serious people.
Yeah. Okay. So back to one critical advice I got when I joined the team, and this was straight from Faith.
Yeah.
She said to me, I'm taking you into my team, but here's what I'm going to ask you. I respect every single person, sure, as a human being. Number one. And then the second advice I got from who was my mentor, who was my allocated mentor there, Tulani Ekamininsimand. He said to me, young man, every single person here in the institution, they are looking out for themselves. It's them first, then everybody else after that. So therefore, I need you to make sure that you look out for yourself and you do the best possible that you can do with what you have. So those were the advices I got, to say respect, and then just be aware that the world is not there to solve for your problems, you solve your own problems. Effectively, if I can put it differently. So with that, right? Then I had to make sure that I think at a human level, yes, you engage, you respect, and when you do that, people then tend to open up and want to give you more, and they want to give more information to you. Yes. So that you succeed, right? And I've taken that with me, and in my engagements today, the human being is far much more important than before we speak about business. Indeed. So I need to be able to connect with the human being first. That will take you a long way. But there's another important point, right? And this I've learned over the years. I didn't learn it at the beginning, but I've learned it over the years. Is that doing your job buys you the ticket to the game. Doing your job and doing it well. Yes. Let me put it that way. Doing your job and doing it well, it buys you a ticket to the game. It allows you a seat at the table, right? But it does not promote you. Good. That's a very important point. Okay. The reason why I'm saying that is that most of the young people, and particularly young black professionals, they have the mindset that my job will speak for me. They will see by my feet. It is good, yes. People will see. It is good to have that, but again, it's the entry. That's the base. Okay, that gets you there. What then becomes very important is how you intentionally navigate what I would call stakeholder management. Okay. Model. So I've got the stakeholder management model that take us through it. So what that is that you need to be very clear of who are the people that you work with on a daily basis that allow and help you to execute on your assignment for the day. Okay. right? So who are the people that help you process what you need to process for you to be able to meet your KPA or your goals that have been set for that particular year? So that's the people that you deal with on a daily basis, the value chain, we call it, right? Those people are generally the people that actually promote you.
Okay.
Those are your peers. Your peers promote you. So they need to see value in you. And you need to make sure that within that entire value chain, you've got everybody on speed dial. But then also make sure that here's the litmus test. When you call them, do they return your call?
Okay.
If you call them and then they are busy and they don't return your call, you need to interrogate that.
Okay.
Because if somebody does not call you back, it means that in their list of priority, you are low. If you are low, it means that you're not adding value to their life.
Sure.
That's your test. That's your litmus test. So as you work around that, make sure that's your, I would call it your primary circle.
Yes, and you're basically talking networking levels.
Networking. Yeah. So people that are dealing with you on a daily basis, they need to be able to return your call if they've missed your call. That's your litmus test.
Okay.
Bring value to them so that when they engage with their seniors, they're the ones that are your spokesperson. They are representing you. Because what happens is that the leaders or the heads of the business generally will engage with their people and say, who are the people in that team who are doing 1, 2, 3 for you? Your name should be top. Okay. To say this guy is always ready to support, to help. He's a breath of fresh air. That's what.
He's on the ball.
He's on the ball.
Yeah.
Right. So that's your first circle. Then the second circle, I call it the secondary, the secondary circle, is that now the people that lead this particular, the first team, the first circle, also need to know who you are. Right? They need to know who you are, of course, through what you do on a daily basis, but also take time and put 30 minutes, 15 minutes in their diaries to say, please, I just want to connect with you. Yeah. And I want to just share with you what I'm doing in the business. Right? So that they get to know, oh, okay, there's this chap in this team. He's tuned in. He understands the problems that we're dealing with now, today. And he knows how to prioritize them. Right? So that's your second layer.
So the managers.
Okay. Or the heads of the business. Then there's a third circle. The third circle, I call it the tertiary circle, or call it the advisors. Right? The other one, maybe the second one would be the principals, but the other one is the advisors. Okay. The advisors is people that are within the organization, but at a very senior level, right? Or even outside. Because what the advisors are there for is to guide and lead, to guide you, because of they are in the industry or they're outside industry or they're outside the industry. But then management issues and leadership issues are very common, are very similar. So they would then be able to objectively, without the company, to say to you, this is how you navigate certain problems. Right? So you need to have that network. So for example, in our church, there's very powerful people in various industries. So I call them captains of industries.
Yes.
Right?
Like you.
But there are many others.
Yes.
I don't want to mention names, but there are many.
Sure.
So that gives you that access to say, there's there's a person who runs a very successful business in a church. You know, how do I get closer to them and ask them to give up a bit of time to help me navigate certain things? Because you may be dealing with some complicated issues or complex issues that may relate to your company.
Yes.
Who is the person that you may be able to go to and say, just as a sounding board, help me think about the following, or what do you think about this following problem? They might be able to guide you. So you need to be very deliberate about that engagement model, stakeholder engagement model that you create for yourself. Very deliberate. But with that, because this is your networking circle, what you then need to overlay that with is on your day-to-day activities, you have your 360 feedback from your line or from the process that you do from inside the organization, you know, other stakeholders, etc. They will give you. You need to jot them down and see where they say you lag, right? And then through your personal development plan with your line manager, you'll change battery.
Where's the battery, Chief?
It's in the bag.
Can't find it.
Credits. Yes, a lot of credits.
Okay. This one is really rolling anyway, so it's fine.
All right. So you've got your 360 feedback, right? And then in your 360 feedback, you do have the feedback that says you may need to work on your softer skills, or you may need to get a formal qualification that helps you to do your job better. But also in that context, what you then need to do in your personal development plan is you need to be very clear of the journey that you want to take.
Yes.
Right? So you need to have a 0 to 1 year plan, 1 year to 5 year plan, 5 year to 10 year plan, or even you can take it to 15 year plan.
Okay.
Very, very clear around that. And in the plan, you need to be crisp around what are the things that I want to achieve and what are the roles that I need to take up. So you need to write them down.
Okay.
As the Bible says that write your plans down on the tablet of stone. Yes, right. And that is a very powerful thing. Yeah, extremely powerful, because what it does is that when you write plans down, you process them differently as opposed to when you just think about them. Right. And when you've written them down and sharing that with others, they start it starts shaping their minds to then see how do I help this guy or this person to achieve what they want. So again, in your personal development plan, you'll say, for argument's sake, I want to become the head of this business, a particular division within the organization in the next 2 years. In doing that, it starts shaping your mind to say, what does it take for me to run this business? Right? Which means that you engage with the person who's running the business at the time to say, what does it require for me to actually get to your level? Help me understand that. And then as they then share with you, then you start now looking into yourself to say, what are the things that I then need for me to then get to the level? So it means that if you need to engage at a particular level within the organization, you start now driving yourself to do that. So you beginning to network with purpose. You're just not networking. You then start looking at what are the formal qualifications that I need, right, to run a particular business. Maybe I need to go to Oxford and study, this particular leadership course or degree, or I need to focus more around strategy, right? Or what are the things that the softer skills? Maybe I need to do more presentation skills, or I need to do more public speaking because of the role requires me to communicate a lot out there and with clarity.
Yeah.
So you start now shaping your daily activities around that. What that does for you is then it elevates you from the detail of today to now pursuing this big goal. And as you encounter the challenges on a daily basis, those challenges now, you see them for what they are. They are just small hills that you need to climb because you've got this big goal. But if you don't have that, the challenges on a daily basis, they seem like a Mount Everest in front of you. Because of you made them that big, because of you don't have anything else beyond that. So you have to be very intentional about how you do it. But then as you do that, you communicate that plan because of you structured your life in this. You communicate directly, indirectly into your stakeholder engagement model. Right? So people then begin to then see that, and as the tablets of stone, right? They then begin to see that, oh, this guy, they start writing. Right? That's what you do. Then of course in the process of doing that, right? And here's something that we don't do very well, most of us. And this is irrespective of race. You know the elevator pitch.
30 seconds.
The 30 seconds elevator pitch.
Yes.
You know what is the easiest, how easy is constructed? A lot of people don't know. Firstly, acquaint yourself with the problems of the day for the organization. Okay? Get to understand what occupies the thoughts of the leadership at the time. Get to understand that. Find a way of solving a problem in what you do on a daily basis. Okay. Because naturally the strategy of an organization should cascade all the way down to whatever level, which means that each and every person that is in the organization, they're working towards the strategy. So whatever that occupies the minds of the leaders is the strategy. Okay. Right? So in your little corner, what are you doing to contribute to shifting and achieving the strategy? Right? You gotta do it. Sure. But also, what you then do is, I was having a chat with Pastor Carol the other day as we were driving to say, journaling is a very powerful thing. Yes, right? So when you journal your daily wins in the organization, because of you're able to go and reflect on them and read them, you're able to actually summarize them, and then also as part of how you are contributing to the organization. That's your very second speech. You just highlight. You're in the elevator with a senior person. How will you say, I'm good? By the way, I know that we're dealing with 1, 2, 3. By the way, I'm so and so, I work in this division. I'm solving for this. And I would love to hear your thoughts in terms of what I'm trying to solve. If maybe I'm thinking about, going it about the right way. You're done. You hooked the guy while you actually said to him, I'm concerned about the problems that you're solving for them. I'm solving for them, but then I want to hear your thoughts. Can I have time in your diary so that I can talk to you about it more? Interesting. Done. So the next time when he sees you, you'll remember him. And then you say, but then, sir, remember I said I wanted to put 30 minutes with him, then he'll give you the secretary's or PA's details so that then when you are there, you're there. What it does, sometimes we say, that's brown, not brown, that's not brown. What you're doing is that you're saying, I'm contributing to the organization and I'm solving problems of the organization. And I know you're concerned about the problems of the organization. You're adding value to his life, therefore he can allocate 30 minutes. Because the most precious thing for any leader right now is time. So you cannot be going to a leader's office and then having casual conversations. No. Because then he could have been somewhere, or she could have been somewhere where there is more pertinent and critical issues that they're resolving. True. So that's very, very critical for you to. But what I was trying to tell you now is that's how you do a 40 seconds elevator pitch.
Yes.
But then you also in the process hook to a leader who then can potentially become your mentor and your advisor, or even the one your sponsor.
Yes.
By the way, speaking about sponsors, right, there are two things as a young person that you gotta do. You have to have a mentor. True. Given. Right. You have to have a mentor. But then you also need to identify a sponsor for yourself. Sponsor is someone that will use up their credits on your behalf in your absence. But then for them to be able to want to use up their credits for you, you must be that valuable to them and you solve problems for them. Right. So you gotta do that. So in your crafting of your personal development plan, which includes those the networking, your career path that you want to take, the things the wins that you do on a daily basis. You then need to have your mentor, write them down, your sponsor, and you need to very clearly articulate the role that the sponsor needs to play in your life. What do you need them to do for you? Okay, right? Yeah. You need to be clear about what is that you need out of a mentorship relationship. Sure. Be clear. So that when you get there, you don't waste time. Right? And then of course, the higher you go in leadership, then you then have a leadership coach. Yes. Right. So a coach is someone who will then come in, you're dealing with a particular case, and then they coach you. And they'll tell you the truth about your weaknesses or your strengths. They don't hold it. You gotta, so you gotta do that. Also understand yourself as part of this whole journey. You need to get an Enneagram. Right? An Enneagram is this tool that helps you to understand. We're talking about temperaments the other day, right? It kind of sort of maps your character or your temperaments, so that it tells you the behavior that you're most likely to express for you towards your team. Yeah. And if your team, and it's always great to actually do an Enneagram as a team so that everybody understands one another. Right. So that's powerful. So going back, I left a piece there around journaling. I was saying that of course you journal for your career, yes. But then also because of we are Christians, yes. Journal your prayer requests as well as your answers. So I was having a chat with Pastor Karau the other day, to say, imagine you have a journal, you are 300 pages deep, and you've got prayer requests and answered prayers in the journal. Then you encounter a problem in life. How would you deal with the problem as you reflect upon the answers that you received versus when you don't have? Yes, it changes your perspective very much. So again, and again, it's a drop in there to say, as Christians who are navigating the world of bottom line pressures, journal your prayer requests and answer prayers. Because when the time comes, when you are traversing the valleys of doubt, you pull out the journal to say, God, you have taken me thus far. I am not about to give up now. Very, very, very beautiful, right? So that's critical as you navigate.
That's all.
There's a question.
What was the question? Can I ask? Okay.
So earlier, right, you intrigued me with your question. You asked, just because now you're talking about Christianity and journaling, right? So earlier you asked us a question of, are you guys all Adventist or Christian? So I just have a question around that. Like, why did you have to phase that question like that? Is there a difference between the two, or?
No, there isn't. It was a very loose question that I posed, but it was a bit burning you. Yeah. No, it was a loose question that I posed because I know that Adventists like defining themselves as Adventists, but I've got a fundamental problem with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yes. So we're in the same boat because for me, the standard is the Bible and the Bible only. We may have our own doctrines that we may elevate for our own purposes, but then the Bible, every word in the Bible is as equal and as important as the other. So Christ is complete, God is complete. However, it's okay to organize ourselves as an organization or as a denomination because that's how we function in this world. We have to be an organization. We have to have the guardrails of dealing with things, but without compromising the essence of what the Bible says. And I don't think Adventism does that. Actually, what I enjoy about Adventism, by the way, I was not born in the church, I'm a convert. So what I enjoy about Adventism is that it is very flexible in the sense that we have digressed, but we'll come back. In the sense that it self-regulates. Right? If they thought that a particular thing was the it, but then over time, as God reveals Himself to them, they're more than willing to change. I mean, we've seen a lot of things changing from a general conference perspective, and what I truly enjoy, or I still enjoy today, is there's no monopoly of the Bible. There is a big, actually that's what we Adventists live for. Read the Bible for yourself, understand it, take it in, process it, and if you don't agree with what the pastor is saying, what the elder is saying, what the deacon is saying, that engage and say, but I don't understand that. Right? So for me, that's the beauty of it. Right? Whereas I'm historically from the Pentecostal, as we term it, right? For me, I sensed that the pastors were they were there, right? They're the ones that deliver the message to you, and there's no engagement around that now, Pastor. The passage, your interpretation of Daniel and Revelation didn't really make sense there.
Sure.
Because for me, what the Holy Spirit is telling me as I read this is what it says. Adventism allows for that. Sabbath school lessons and things like that. Sure. Oh, by the way, the day I met the Adventism, I didn't know that Adventism existed up until I was in my early 30s.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the first day I encountered Adventists was through a cell group. Young people were talking. The depth of understanding the Bible and sharing the word was just profound. And I left the place shaking. Right? I'm like, who are these people? Where have they been? And I was like, yeah, man, I gotta be here because the issue of having to do altar call every Sunday isn't going to, they say who wants to come late every Sunday. I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make up for myself, and I think Adventism gave me the platform, and I'm still on the journey.
You don't think that Adventism can sometimes be a little bit too flexible, in the sense that I do think some of we like to use the words worldly, but some of the practices that maybe, let's say, Sunday churches do, like the Pentecostal churches do, we kind of also kind of do in a way. And I'm going to make an example with camp meetings and stuff like that, right? Where the pastors are not really camping. They have like their own sort of like segregated space to dwell and be with their families and live, and while everyone else is like on tents and stuff like that. So and when it comes to the treatment of our elders and pastors, I do think that sometimes we do kind of adopt sort of the other churches' ways of doing things in terms of treating leadership as opposed to the rest of the church, as to which I feel like the Bible doesn't align too well with the Bible. So I think that's where the flexibility for me, I think, can be a bit dangerous.
Is it an Adventism issue, or is it an individual thing? It's a human thing.
Is it?
So, okay.
But the church treats them like that.
No, but let me take it this way. So, a pastor or an elder, maybe in this case, for example, pastor has an option to say, guys, I want to be at the level of everybody, because I don't want to, from an optics perspective, I don't want people to think that I am better than them, so I'm going to camp. It's a pastor's choice. Okay. And nobody will say no to the pastor. Right?
I see.
So for me, there's that. But also, bear in mind, and I'm saying this from the context of, I have been in leadership within Adventist space for some time, is that there is a lot of background work that the leaders do and carry that most people don't see. So if it requires a little bit of comfort for the pastor to have a better space to kind of sort of refresh and relax because of the weight that they carry, still okay. You can look at it that way, because again, like I said, there are so many things that the church leaders go through that they don't have to express to the church and tell the church that they deal with on behalf of the church. They don't. And sometimes it's okay for them to just relax it. Let me give you an example. But this is not necessarily a direct example. Pastors are subject to a salary that is within the construct of the conference. The conference decides that for them, no matter how hard they work. Right? No matter how hard they work, they will get that salary from the conference. Whereas you, who is not a pastor, I can work at my space right now, do crazy things, and I get a big bonus for it. Pastors don't get that opportunity. And in me getting the big bonus, I'm able to afford a lifestyle that the pastor cannot afford.
So there's no 13th check?
They may get the 13th check, but what I'm saying is that the pastor, because of his operating within the construct of the church, and there's no way the pastor will get, for example, a salary of 4 million or 5 million. He will always get the salary that is within the construct of the. But then me, I've got an option to leave ABSA and I go to, and for 364 days in a year, I sleep in my Egyptian cotton, my, my king size extra length, and right, and I'm able to take my kids to, Thailand for holidays twice a year, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Pastors, although they may want to dream about that, they can't. So just at the camp meeting, then sleeping at a bed that is slightly more comfortable than I. Is that too much for us?
I never really thought about it like that.
It's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
But maybe just to circle back and wrap it up in the spiritual framework as well. You told us the last time we had a class with you that you keep a Bible on your desk.
Yes, sir.
You keep a Bible on your desk, and it sparks interesting conversations at your workplace. So now we're talking how you integrate faith and work in a seamless, kind of. It's not like you're a worker.
Yes.
Or now you are a manager, now you're a strategist,
That's right.
and then boom, now you are a millennial elder. Now you can't now touch.
Yeah.
How do you balance that space?
Okay.
You have your religious side and you have your work.
This is a growing question amongst Christians, right? And there's a beautiful book that Larry Julian wrote. It's called God is My CEO. I would recommend the book for anyone that is in a corporate space, or even if you run your own business. So he clearly articulates the difference between bottom line pressures or bottom line rules versus godly principles. And he speaks of the unwritten rules that govern both worlds. So, for example, in the world of bottom line pressures, the goal is to achieve material success, right?
Yeah.
And in the but on the God side, we serve a purpose.
Okay.
Those are two different things. Achieving material success, I want to go get this and that, and then irrespective of if I get there.
Okay.
But then, from a God perspective, is that we serve a purpose. So you need to be very clear. And of course, your purpose has to be aligned to the will of God. And how you find the will of God is in the Bible. And it starts by saying, the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord. Yeah. Basically. And we always say, but why can't God give us the wisdom of Solomon? But it's written there. Fear of the Lord.
It's the beginning of wisdom.
It is the beginning of wisdom. Have you ever thought about it before? Okay. As I continue, the bottom line all says, what can I get?
Okay.
Right? Godly principles is what can I get?
Yeah. Asking not what my country shall do for me.
Correct.
Ask what I shall do for my country.
And then success in the bottom line pressures is equals to Madims or dollars. Madims is Madigas.
Oh, that's a nice term.
Yeah, Madims. And from a godly perspective, success is linked to significance. And significance is equals to human beings, people. That's why I was saying earlier that for me, what is critically important is I connect with the human being first. So that I hear and I see the person, not a number that is there. Then the bottom line well says I live to please people.
Swanker.
to surrender. But on the God side is that I live to please God.
Definitely.
And then on the other side, you're dealing with the fear of the unknown all the time. Because you don't know what's coming and who's in charge, who's in control of it. Because you can't reference it to anything. Right? But then again, us on the God side, we live in the hope of our Lord Jesus Christ. Yeah? Because we know what He has done. We know what He says about us. And leadership is being first on the other side. But then on the Christian side, leadership is being last. We've seen what Christ has done on the cross. Right? He leads by example. Even if He has to wash the feet of the disciples to show that He's a servant, He will do that. That's what He do. Right? And then we take charge on the other side. So take charge, and then if you surrender, that surrender means defeat. But then we on the God side is that we let go, and surrender means victory. Because God is in charge. That's what's it. God is in control. On the other side, it says the end justifies the means.
That's a tricky one.
Get to the outcome regardless of how you accomplish it. But then on the other side, we say that the means justify the end. So how you get there, or how you get to the outcome is critical for us. Right? And then the other one is short-term gains. We strive for long-term gains. Because what we do is general intergeneration. It's not for the benefit now, and then it just fizzles out, right? The other side, slave to the agent. So you hang around trying to. The other side is freedom of choice, because you know that your Father's in charge. You know whatever. So for me, I'm juxtaposing these two.
Very nice.
Right, which says, what is my posture as a Christian and how I deal with issues on a daily basis? How do I define basic things on a daily basis? Do I define them from the context of God, or do I define them from the context of the bottom line pressures, the worldly pressures? Hence, I am bold enough to take the Bible and put it next to me, because I know that my primary task that I have is to convert and influence the space that God has placed me in. The job that I need to do becomes secondary. That's why I can put my Bible there. So that every opportunity that comes, when somebody says, Chief, why do you have a Bible here? I'll say to them, have you read it?
Yeah. Good one.
Like, have you read it? They'll be like, yeah, I've read it. Okay, what have you read? From the Bible. That helps you to deal with things. Sure. They'll tell me a story, and then I'll be like, by the way, Chief, I was dealing with this one the other day. God is amazing, man.
Powerful.
Yeah, like God is amazing. Let's sit down, let's have a conversation about this. And then it flows into someone then telling their deep personal issues. And then once they told you their deep personal issues, then when you've got answers, you provide answers. When you don't have answers, you say, Jesus, just pray to me. After the conversation, you pray to them. Right? You're done. The amount of people that have come to me, and when I left them, some of them in tears, to say, you don't know how much I needed that. It's crazy. So for me, it's important that what you say you are, your life represents that. Right? So I'm surrendered to God. He's provided the job that I do. He continues to protect me in the job. it is my responsibility to carry you in that space. If I don't, then I've taken charge myself. So the job is about me.
Yes, yes.
It was never about me. Never.
So it's always about him.
You know, they say take care of his business. He does take care of yours. So take care of God's business. He will take care of your business.
Cool, cool. I think that's a nice place to wrap up the conversation for today.
Thank you.
We've had so many gems. That in part I say, I hope you have been blessed by listening to this. It's been me, Kahana, your host, and I've been here with my favorite elder, Mosa. And I hope that you take these principles and apply them as you navigate your careers. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Melda, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much.
Yes. Cheers.